Hi, everybody. Oh, I don't want to do the YouTube hands. Oh, God. What do I say? Hello. Are you listening? Are you out there? Let's lock in, bro. Lock in, bro. So this is readings. This is something that I want to start doing as a means of sharing what I am thinking and receiving, um, in hopes that it does something. I don't know, because I just know that reading is what?
Reading is what?
A practice that requires patience and self-reflection. And so maybe that's what this is about.
A few moments later.
Oh my gosh. I'm going to be the girl who's crying on the internet. Hi, everybody. This is Colby, the rehearsal director, here just to say that reading the words of, verbatim, the words of a Black trans revolutionary the day after her passing ended up being very viscerally impactful for me, as you may imagine. And so I don't want anyone to worry, but I am fully sobbing. I am fully sobbing at some points during the next 10, 15 minutes or so. I did talk to my therapist. He said I can post this. He said I should post this. So nobody be worried. But this is a great point to sort of say, maybe a forward on the reading here, is that Miss Major is iconic, and not in sort of like the gay or iconic way, but sort of like is a pillar because she was unwavering in carving out the life for herself and her girls that she saw for them all. And I am so grateful to be a part of that. And also it is hard. It is hard, especially to lose someone who is such a light and is such a powerful testament, such powerful evidence that is possible. I too would like to be evidence that is possible. And the only way that I can foresee that right now is by dedicating myself to this work. And I too hope to be able to be as impactful, even just a fraction, as Miss Major was in her community. And I can only do that if I stay alive. And so right now that means money. So this is a pitch in the middle of the rehearsal. If you have anything to spare, please sign up for my Patreon. Check it out. I am asking for a little bit of sacrifice, but truly, for a lot of us, $5 a month is not going to cost us anything, and it could save my life. That's just the truth. So anyways, if you are subscribed to the Patreon, hello. I'm glad that you're watching this. If you are and you're a free member, hello. I hope one day you are able or willing to support me monetarily. And if you are neither, let's join the group, baby. Let's join the movement. Let us be a continuation of Miss Major's work and a continuation of creating the evidence that trans freedom and trans self-determination and trans people get to live the life they want to. Thank you. Yeah.
And now, on with the show.
Okay, so this first one is Miss Major Speaks, Conversations with a Black Trans Revolutionary. And it's a conversation between her and, let me not be disrespectful, y'all. Let me quote everybody. Toshio Miranek, who I only know through this. So I am delighted to be introduced to something new. So yes, this is basically an interview that Toshio does with Miss Major. And if you don't know Miss Major, She's a Black trans revolutionary who just passed, and I am so glad to be the one to introduce you to her. I will say, well, I won't say, because this isn't about saying, it's about reading. And so that's what I'll say about that. So this is from Miss Major Speaks. This is chapter 8, Allies Be Visible. So Toshio says, in San Diego, you were with one of the loves of your life, Joe Bob. He passed in 95. Miss Major says, yes. We'd moved to near where Joe Bob's family was. They weren't happy with me being his significant other, but nevertheless, we stayed there because with the HIV and the state he was in, he was too weak to travel far. Since he was a vet, he was in the VA hospital during that time, and the VA hospital was run by a bunch of conservative people who didn't want to acknowledge that plenty of vets had AIDS. I made a fuss about it, and eventually they started what they called the Special Disease Unit, because they were going to call it the AIDS Unit. And from spending all this time in the hospital, I got to know some of the other vets and their families and convinced a few of them that the government couldn't just keep on hiding the secret of military people who had contracted HIV who were now dying because nobody wanted to acknowledge the problem. Then, about a year in, I finally got them to make the little garden at the VA hospital into a memorial for the people who died of the disease. Toshio responds, there's a San Diego local TV news clip of you at the, oh wait, hold on. I need to learn how to read. Toshio says, there's a San Diego local TV news clip of you at the dedication where the newscaster says, the garden is the work of Joe Bob's friend, Major. And the look you give, the look of doom. Dude, she was so drama. The look of doom. But the garden brought some comfort to the family members who were honest enough to acknowledge that this is a problem that is killing not just your son, but a whole community. And maybe you should do something to help end this. Toshio says, a public health emergency like AIDS is a natural disaster. It was on the scale of an earthquake. It demanded a response from the world, from allies, not just people who were directly affected by the crisis. She responds, because the truth is, there aren't a whole lot of us in the world. We don't have the numbers. So when people talk about this Trans Day of Visibility someone started a few years back, what? Because the context for this here is that Miss Major was growing up when it was a little bit younger than Marsha P. Johnson. And I think that's true. Am I wrong about that? I don't know. I'll fact check me. Anyways, Miss Major was a Stonewall, right? And so this is a recent a more modern interview with like a revolutionary from like the 70s, before Trans Day of Visibility. Just anyway, for reference. Sorry. Trans Day of Visibility, someone started a few years back. Whatever image they have had in their head, or however many surgeries they've had, for a lot of the girls, she refers to girls with a U, is how they write it a lot, and she means like the trans girls. For a lot of the girls, it's just a fact that on a dark night, a cisgender person could clock them from a mile away. It's our allies that need to be more visible. You can't miss us. We've been visible since the time we began, and as a result, for just as long, we've been harassed, or something worse. Toshio says, I don't even know if you watch any of those old Hollywood award shows like the Oscars. Sure, I have. When somebody makes a political statement on stage, which is rare, they usually get dragged. You know what? I think they're trying to use what they feel is their power or their voice to create change or bring in people with melanin in their skin and stuff like that. And that's fine because you have to do something with that voice. You never know, but you hope that somebody will hear it and it'll change how they think. Toshio says, when Marlon Brando asked a native person to accept his Oscar in the 70s, to pick up his award, people were so upset. The Red Power people were taking over Alcatraz. There was a lot of political stuff going on in that regard, so it was a good thing to do. I mean, you'll always have to challenge the status quo or things won't change. And so it can be something simple. It doesn't always require that you put yourself in harm's way. I was taking care of my father in the East Bay in San Leandro after he sold the house my grandmother had left him in Menlo Park down near San Jose. And meanwhile, working in San Francisco, I was at the house in San Leandro when they lit the cop cars on fire for Harvey Milk's assassination because the guy who shot him had connections. Toshio, Dan White, Miss Major, he'd been a cop. Then he went to work at City Hall, and so he got off easy. One of the girls called me that night all frantic. She said, "You won't believe it. The cop cars are all ablaze." So I had to see for myself. Drove as fast as I could, and I got as far as when you're getting to where the freeway splits down and the entire city had a glow to it, and the moon was the color of cheese in a can. Oh, she's so beautiful. They had these new baby blue patrol cars just lighting up the sky right in front of City Hall. I had to turn that bitch around. Toshio asks, why? She says, I was working 2 full-time jobs at the time, and I figured I'm going to let the white gays and lesbians handle this. I was taking care of my dad at the time, and it was same as today as far as black people being magnets for the cops. Toshio says, which is a problem that people who are supposed to be allies didn't get. And many of them still don't get. Miss Major says, cops come and the white people disappear into the night. And suddenly, you're alone and the only one in cuffs on the ground. Toshio says, in 2018, you went to the biggest gay nonprofit conference that happens every year, Creating Change, where they were giving you this Lifetime Achievement Award. Before you flew out to DC, you got with one of our friends who is a Jewish anti-Zionist to figure out how to make a point about the genocide of Palestinians in Israel. It's the biggest conference for gay nonprofits. All the executives from the corporate foundations and nonprofits are there. And for years, the status quo has been to invite Israeli groups to be there in full effect, but to reject Palestine-related panels and speakers. Why mention the issue during your speech? She says, it was simple. Because the move to silence Palestinian liberation was wrong. Someone had to say something, so me. You can't do this alone. We've got to band together. You must work with other people who have had the same wishes and dreams as you do. We're everywhere, child. Who knows?
Maybe some girl in Palestine is going to be reading this when it comes out. With the suffering and the changes that they're going through and all this anti-trans shit happening, we have to work together with people who are at the bottom. We're not the only ones that are underneath people's feet. There's other people there too.